Hello, hello, everybody. It's Darshana Avila, and today is the 23rd of February. So it is the 23rd day of Power to the P. So let's see. I'm coming to you once again from the Big Apple and headphones in because there's city noise around, and I'm definitely having to readjust, even though this is where I'm from originally. Every time I come back here after not having been for a while, there's that getting reacquainted, the things that are familiar, the things that are not. And so this feeds into my practice because I have slept with earplugs in the last couple of nights, which is not something I always do. And this morning, it made for a really awesome and interesting self-pleasuring practice. I ended up having one of those mornings, like waking up half asleep, half awake, and I didn't necessarily feel like I was aroused or turned on. And even though part of this practice is about setting clear intentions at the beginning, I can't even say I intended to self-pleasure. But as I was laying in bed and just kind of in that twilight stage, I started feeling just the impulse to self-soothe, really, and let my hands move around my body. And I started to hear my breath and my toning in a different way for sake of having had earplugs in. And it was really turning me on, and it was awesome. It was, it's as if your head's underwater or whatever it is. You hear things differently when your ears are blocked in that way. And so I was just enjoying doing some intentional, like, vocal toning, feeling and hearing how sound was moving through my body, and just being in this exploration. And it was adding a new element, and had almost a feeling of like being outside of myself, or maybe it was more accurate to say deeper inside of myself than I normally am. Whatever the case may be, the impulse arose for me to grab a pair of latex gloves. So I often use gloves when I'm working with clients, and I know that they really will enjoy the feeling of this new texture on skin oftentimes. And for those who might have a latex allergy, you can use nitrile gloves or other materials. But what I decided to do is put the gloves on myself. And similarly, I have enjoyed the feel of the gloves on my skin from another practitioner, but I've never, believe it or not, never thought to put a pair of gloves on with myself before. And so after a while of just being with my body, I was paying particular attention to my breasts, and doing a lot of, let me see if I can angle this better, like a lot of like very firm, like there's a lot of pressure in my hand and a shaking. And I was doing that around chest, breast, belly, like over my pubic mound, and then alternating that with more caresses and different strokes. And so after a while, I put the gloves on. And a little tip for you that I'm going to share, that I use a brand of gloves that tattoo artists often use, and they are slightly textured on the outside, super, super soft on the inside. So the trick of the trade when you're using them for these purposes is to turn them inside out, which you can do and just blow a little air in so that the fingers pop out. And it is an exquisite sensation. And so I enjoyed this yummy little morning of laying in bed and just being in my pleasure, feeling these different sensations, hearing sound in a different way. So it was a wonderful thing to go into these new ways of exploring sense perception. And when we speak about sensation, it really is, what are we perceiving through our senses? So we talk a lot about body sensation, touch, and movement, but it also comes in through sound, through taste, through smell, through sight, right? And so we want to explore in our practices as many different ways to stimulate and to expand our sense perception, as we take these journeys. So I felt like I really got to dive into that in a very sweet, nourishing way this morning. And I still am kind of a bit dealing with jet lag and all that stuff. So after about a half hour, 45 minutes or so, like I felt myself just immediately, like all my energy that had been moving around out here, it just drew itself back in. And I had not come to a place of wanting much genital stimulation at all. It wasn't really building toward any particular peaks or big peak, anything like that. It was just like a lot of soft, gentle undulations and more in the curiosity. And then it just hit its natural pause. The plateau came. And so I curled up and just rested in stillness and felt some beautiful waves ripple through and kind of dozed off again for a few minutes. And it just, there was something in the simplicity of this morning, as well as the creativity and these different ways of, as I said, using my senses, that felt incredibly nourishing and enjoyable. So that's the report today. Just a few more days to go, another handful. And so I'll be back with you with more tomorrow. Let me hear from you if you've got anything you'd like to share. Maybe this inspires you to play with the senses and bring some other elements into your practice. I would most certainly love to hear about it. You can private message me, email me, comment on the posts, whatever works for you. It's a delight to journey with you, and I wish you well. See you tomorrow.